Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Love It or Shove It. It's me here, Irina Portnova, with my co-host Bruno Gill, and we are having our guest today, Haleh. Haleh, just introduce yourself and tell a little bit what do you do in this beautiful world.
Good day. I am super excited to be here and thank you for allowing me in your time and space. I am beyond grateful. My name is Haleh. It's pronounced like Haleh Houshim. And thank you so much.
All right, so tell a little bit about yourself and what do you do?
Thank you. So I'm a health span coach, not a lifespan. I add quality and quantity of health throughout your life, living it in your highest joy, highest excitement, and highest inspiration. Thank you.
Awesome, beautiful. So today we are coming with the topic of from abuse to true happiness in love. And it's just for anybody who's going to be listening and maybe somebody is going through some tough time in their relationship, just to understand that there is always the light on the end of the tunnel, right? And it's all about how willing and how open we are to see that. And Haleh is going to bring a little bit light on that topic. Just take us back in through your story, because before we were going live you started to give us a little bit of the details, and obviously you saved the best for last. So let's just go back in your time when you were in that relationship that really didn't fulfill you, and you felt like this is something you want to escape.
Thank you so much. Yes, that is so crucial, especially these days as people stay in relationship that is so unhealthy. I did that myself, so I know where they're coming from. In my 20s, I was in a physical abuse marriage. I am blessed to be alive and be here with you guys. I literally didn't know such a thing even existed. I thought it's only in movies and horror movies because I was brought up in a very loving family because I knew like love, how to love. But the fact was, I hated myself. So it starts like within, everything starts within. I had no self love. So I would go after all these bad relationships. Oh, I want that tall, dark, handsome, or I want this. We have a list of the people we are attracted to and want. And I thought, oh, why not? So each one led me to a disappointment and a bad relationship. And then this one was just the ultimate, the physical abuse of marriage. And I didn't listen to anyone. I just went in and I'm like, okay, um, this is what I want. And also, at that time, my dad was extremely busy. So that meant relationship, the father and daughter. I didn't have it. It was always a provider. So I never had that. So when I got married, when I was in it, I was ashamed to tell anyone else what I was going through. So I hid that within me. I didn't want anyone to know or anyone tell me, I told you so. So I stayed in and it was not fun. And the way that I got, literally, I would share that really helped me was I really tuned inside of me, and I loved journaling. So I would get pen to paper, only pen to paper, because there's a certain creativity and certain part of the brain when you do pen to paper that just pours out. So I would go in a closet and I would just write and cry ocean and be with myself. And I would ask like what I want, what so that's basically just a little bit of my story when I went through the hardship and relationship at that time.
Oh my God, thanks so much for sharing. And, like talking about journaling, how important it is because you're really at that moment connect to your soul, right?
Right.
And you can receive the answers that you would never receive if you just have the thoughts, right? But there is that magic when we are actually writing down.
Exactly.
So we do connect with our soul or our highest self, right? As we call it. And we do uh, receive the answers to our questions, and it's awesome that you were able to do it, as well as like you said, you were able to express your emotions, because it's so important, right? It's so important to express our emotions, otherwise they're just gonna build up inside of us, and then that's how people receive the sickness, and that's how things really show up in our body, because it's all of these emotions that are blocking us from releasing them and just be able to function normally. Thanks so much for sharing. So, Bruno, do you have any questions?
Yes. Why the closet? Like, why did you sit down on the closet and nowhere else?
Thank you. Because I had so much fear at that time, and I just was afraid that he's going to come and grab
Okay.
me. It was
Mm.
just a fear of
Yeah.
appearance, and I felt more secure in a closed closet. I had a walk-in closet, so I felt more like it's my space. It felt
Hmm.
comfortable to me. So, and I did that. But one thing that really brought me peace was me, as you said, releasing everything out. Because our emotion, every symptom creates into a disease or a pain. And I was blessed to meet our beloved Louise Hay and got coached by her. And up to today, I keep a tangible mirror always next to me. And I say, look at yourself eye to eye in the mirror and say, I love you. And it just starts all with that self love. And then when you love yourself, you will attract that towards you. And it's nothing outside of you. So sort of like constantly reaching out and doing this and that, it's all within.
Yeah, so true. And thanks so much for sharing. So, walk us a little bit, what happens next, because obviously there was a moment of time when you actually made that decision that you can't take it anymore. And how long were you staying in this relationship until you actually had this moment of awareness and saying, yeah, I don't want to live like that anymore?
That's a perfect question. It took me a long time. I had friends like they would um, copy books and bring it to me, or I that was like in the beginning, and I would not pay attention to any of this because of the fear. So I took as much as time I needed, but I didn't give up. It was consistently I was writing and asking for what I want. So I was nonstop doing that, and it's just the knowing inside of you, knowing that you're connected to the source, and the answers will come, and not giving up, and keep on going, keep on going. And it took me 4 years. It took me 4 years to get out because I was just not feeling strong enough, and I had so much. Uh, it's like, what if he comes and gets my loved one? What if, all these what if went in my head. And I always say that
Anxiety.
people who go through that abuse will only know. It's like you might have heard of it or knowing, but you really need to feel it. It's a frequency of what they go through. And it's not as easy. It's like, oh, just come out. It's not. There's a whole psychological thing that goes and it needs work. So that journaling actually is one of the best ways to get you out, and knowing, trusting the source within you, and knowing that it's going to happen. And it's like you're writing it down and you're asking and you're asking. And it took me 4 years. It might take someone next day, but for me, it was 4 years to get out.
That's so important what you're sharing, because there are a lot of people who are staying long years in these kind of relationships because first of all they do not know how to get out, right? I think that how is something that stops a lot of people from going after something that we actually want, right? Or
Exactly.
escape from something that we do not want, right?
Right.
So it's important to receive the proper information, and I'm sure somebody is listening to you right now, and you are going to be that answer for them because they are going through the similar situation and they do not know how to escape, or they are frightened because they do not know how what to do, right? And how their life is going to unfold, because let's face it, we become so dependent on that person that we are with, whether they treat us right or not. So it's still, like, it's that habit that we instill in ourselves, whether they are good or bad. They are the habits that now we have to, like, really get rid of, right? And it's painful. It doesn't take it overnight, right? So what was the moment when, can you describe to us the moment when you actually felt that that's it, this is the point where I just have to do something about it?
Sure. The moment actually was how much, as I was writing, the more I began to um, go with it. I also read a lot. So I will say that I do a lot of self development reading, and books are my best friend. So as I read a lot, as I wrote a lot, as more I got connected to the high frequency of the source that is within. So with that, I got the knowing, like, okay, if you love yourself, you will not allow yourself to be treated like that. As I said, it just goes more and more and more deeply inside of getting to know yourself. So the more you get that love and appreciation for yourself, the more the doors will open up. And if it does get too dangerous, it's like it just literally pushes you out and to like leave everything, forget the clothes, forget. Some people become so dependent on their belongings or the materialistic stuff, or how am I going to survive? Who am I going to find? And so you go in all those mindsets. And so the thing is, you just, there's a knowing inside, and it'll say, it's enough. You need to move forward. So just, there's a message inside of you. And a lot of us just lock it out. But that's what I say, when you write, you're connecting to your inner self.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. um
Yes.
Bruno, probably you have the questions because I'm, like, always jumping in.
I congratulate you, Haleh, because you did great. Obviously, right? That's amazing. I'm also kind of a writer. I mean, I love poetry. I write poetry. I write it in my language. I'm Portuguese, so I write it, in Portuguese. I can write it in English as well. But I remember that I also I didn't went through physical abuse, but I went through more verbal abuse, more no, more manipulation type of stuff with the people that I used to live in when I was in university, right? More like public humiliation and stuff. I'm actually went 4 times through public humiliation. Once in Portugal when I was a kid, I had to change schools because the kid that was bullying me for 6 years did like the ultimate, right? And then in England, I remember I went to live by myself while I was in university. So was at the place that I was. Plus, there was 2 jobs that I had while I was paying my bills in uni. I got humiliated by my own boss in one job and another, in front of everybody. And then once in 2023 on a restaurant, it happened again. So 4 to 5 times, yeah. And so writing has always been my escape, right? And writing has always been my escape. And writing helps a lot to connect to kind of your higher self. Like you channel, you raise your vibrations, right? It's very important. And so any sort of trauma is tough to deal with. You met Louise Hay. you like that's awesome.
Yeah,
Like Louis A is great.
right,
And you know, like something that I really love about Louise A is like she says like there's always something positive in everything, and so she treats she says that love your bills, they come to you because you're able to pay them, right?
right,
And so it's the same thing with everything. Is like if you're able, like if you have like a bad situation with you, right? It's almost like, okay, I'm grateful for this situation because I can learn from this situation and I can deal with it, right?
right,
um, if I couldn't deal with it, I would never been given the chance to do it, right? And I think like always seeing the positive side is like so important. Always seeing the positive, always seeing the positive, always searching for the positive, right?
right, right.
Because I feel like it, right, yeah, like yeah, I feel like it all depends on really what we on how we see life, you know, our perspectives, our perceptions. And if you put a positive meaning out of something, you'll get a positive, you know, feedback, you'll get a positive reward, right? There will always be a door open, right? So
Right.
yeah, I mean, that's really awesome. But actually, like actually have a question.
Mhm.
So if you wouldn't go, like, was there any other places that you would write other than like the actual closet? Like, did you ever went outside, or did you ever, you know, search for any other place or whatever? Because obviously you wanted to feel safe, which is completely normal, right? So yeah, like any other place like that would like kind of, you know, your soul would like search for.
Thank you. Um, that's a just flashback just came back when you said that. So I'll just say this. Probably this is what needs to be said. Even taking a shower, I get chills saying this. Even taking a shower, you should be like washing the stuff out. You should be relaxed and comfortable in the shower. But I had to keep my eyes open because I would feel like I'm going to get attacked from the back. I didn't feel safe anywhere except that closet and in my car. Because in my car, I would blast the music and I would just let it out. One thing I did always released. I always released and didn't hold back in my own silence. I didn't reach outside a lot. And to me, it was so important um, to ask. Um, I was always, as I said, at age 7, it's like I always had this knowing, like I'm in my own universe, and the vision, which I had always. I was always different. So I was always connected with that divine source, highly intuitive and knowing. So I felt more comfortable in that source of realm with myself to release, you know, and I held back always because I didn't want to be ashamed. So my only comfort, yeah, was in the car and at in the closet, and I would actually close it because I needed to be in my own box. If I felt anywhere else, even if I sleep, my back, he's going to come and grab me. So I had a lot of fear built in. And and the funny thing was I was always positive and upbeat. So but this still it's triggered. It's the subconscious when it gets attacked like that, traumatized. It's so it takes a lot of work and practice to get out of that. And there's nothing wrong with it. You just need to practice with yourself and you are like the best. I always say everyone is the light if you are the best technology delivered with you in this world. Not outside, just connect with that soul and that divine, and you will get the answers that you need. So I created, so we're going on with the subject, in 2008, my soulmate in 2008, and actually most of the loving myself was through him. He loved me for who I am. I used to always be this Barbie doll. all dressed up and all athletic fit. I even had a six pack. I was this perfect image that I had to fit in. And at that time, I was going to Beverly Beverly Hills. So I had to fit in and I wasn't comfortable there. So by being that, by him in 2008, which I call him my king, he loved me exactly as I am, without the makeup, without all of this stuff. And I started loving me. It took a long time. It took a long time for me to love myself and to trust men. I had a total, he was a very patient. I would not trust. I had a lot of severe trust issues that came from that. Uh, but 2010, we got married, and he's the husband with me right now. I don't mind saying I'm 54 years old. Um, so that's what I can say is like you can create exactly what you want, but you gotta know it that you're gonna get it and write to the T what you want. And just never give up and be consistent and keep writing and keep asking, keep writing, keep asking.
Wow, such a beautiful share. But so tell us how actually you attracted that person, because obviously after everything what you went through, it was difficult because when people go through such experience, they kind of completely close their heart because they don't want to get hurt again. So how did you actually open your heart and trust somebody again?
That's that's an awesome question because it took me a long time and it was not easy. I did a lot of self development, a lot of my God, tons and tons of work on myself, and it took practice. It's just that you don't focus on, oh, I need to find him. And you don't chase after it. You focus on yourself, what brings you joy, what you want to do, and just keep tuning that out and not even a thought because the subconscious mind is very powerful. You could just say, oh, I'm not thinking about it, but you are. The subconscious mind knows. So you got to literally do something that you really enjoy and put all your energy and effort into that. And it automatically, the day I was at work, one of my coworker is like, brought him to my attention. I didn't even see him or know of him, and it just happened by itself. And then we met. It developed. It was just like an automatic, like it's just
Click.
connection. It just happened. That's what I gotta say. It just like what I had asked for, even the age showed up. Everything I asked for showed up. But the one thing that's why I said ask to the T what you want. At that time, that's another subject, another story. My relationship with money was not good. I hated money. So until 2022, that was another story by itself. So I didn't put that in there. That's why I'm saying you got to make sure what you want to put in there, what you want to create, what you want to put in there, and just it'll happen and never give up.
Yes, I love it. And this is, the way you are telling everything. And thanks so much again for opening up and sharing freely. It's so important for us to speak because a lot of people live in silence, and that's exactly what makes us disconnected. And that's exactly why everybody is walking around. And again, we are watching the social media, and everybody is so happy on the social media. So people automatically think that
Happy.
there's something wrong with us.
Yes.
Right, right, right.
Happy.
And everybody thinks that something is wrong with them because everybody else having their life together, right? But the thing is, no, that's not how the world is, right? So we all go through some, trials and tribulation, right? We all are tested. We all have our experience because being human, we do experience different things, right? We can't be always happy or we can't be always sad. So understanding that we are living in the world of duality, so we experience everything. So if anybody right now in the bad situation, know that it's gonna change,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So there is always that, like I said, there is always the light if we are open to actually accept it and to, attract it, right? And again, it takes the person with a stronger mindset and somebody who is not just running into all these negative emotions no matter what's going on, right? It's
Right.
so important to be able to keep that faith, because faith is something that propels us on a different level. And that's exactly like you were saying, that you had exactly the image of the person that you want to attract. You knew who you want in your life and you had that faith. So we are talking about manifestation, right? And how it works. And that's
Exactly.
exactly the true proof of manifestation, because we constantly manifest with our thoughts.
Mhm.
And now when we keep going back and connecting to that image that we have in our head, sooner or later that image is going to be brought from the energetic world to our physical world.
Exactly. Right. It is so important. You it's like the moment you open your eyes, your gods and goddesses creating the universe. So it is so important. And one thing, it's off the subject, but I'll just put a little topic because it is important. When you don't speak as positive, as healthy, I kept a holistic lifestyle. I was positive. I was happy. But I ended up given a label because throat is a throat chakra, not speaking, and genetically, I'll even say that there's no, it wasn't in my family to be labeled at Hashimoto in chronic fatigue. Those came up on me labeled with that back in 2011 because it's all our emotions. It gets trapped in our cells and the subconscious mind. So what you're saying, it is so true, so important. So I just needed to say that I experienced it. And it is so true. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing. Bruno, do you have any questions?
You, for example, like you were talking about the throat chakra now, right? And I've obviously, I mean, I am a woman self-love coach, right? I coach women on how to love themselves a little bit more, right? And like something that I usually always find around the women that whether I'm coaching them or not, I'm just having a conversation with them, is that they don't express themselves. And right, and I feel like I really believe that it is so important for a woman to express herself, but there's always fears, right? Maybe there's a fear of like people hating a woman, right? So the woman will people please, right? There's the fear of unworthiness, so people will hold themselves back, right, from achieving what they believe they want, but then they don't feel worthy of it, right? There's the fear of success more than failure, right? Because when you fail, you tried, but when you succeed, now you have to maintain that. You have to get it again, right? And how, right? There's so many fears, but whatever we create, we're creating life. If we don't take that out, it's dying inside of us and it hurts, right?
Right.
And so whether if it is a thought, a feeling, a word, it needs to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that in a lot of places. For example, this talk show is about love and relationships. If in a relationship you don't express the way you feel about something because you expect the other person to change when the person doesn't read your mind, right? Unless a person has some like crazy psychic abilities, right?
Right.
That's like at some point the person is going to explode, and the person, instead of saying, look, I'm sorry because I should have told you, the person will say, can't you see that I'm annoyed every time you do that? Can't you see that I'm annoyed when you do that? No, I can't, because you didn't tell me. I don't guess, right? And so if you don't tell me anything, I won't know. And so like there will always be a need to communicate, to express, right? I truly believe that if a woman or man, but in this case women, if they can't be, if they cannot express, if they cannot be honest with themselves, because they think it's gonna hurt more, because now they're making it real by saying it, right? Then they can do it with other people. They can do it with their family. They can do it with their friends. They can do it with their relationships. Maybe that's a trait, right? Maybe that's a trait they got from their own family, right? Maybe a trait that they got from their own parents. Maybe your mother didn't do that with her father, right? And so they got that.
Yeah.
And so, right, it's all about, like, it's like you learn life in a way, and then you reborn your spirit, and you're like, I have to relearn everything it was taught to me.
So true.
Because it's either you're either being raised by somebody who's awakened spiritually and somebody who's aware and conscious, or you have to relearn everything. And
Yes.
it's scary. I shaped myself. I remember I shaped myself many, many, many years ago, because I understood that even what I was learning, I already thought that I didn't know anything and I was dumb as shit completely, right? But after I was like, well, I'm not dumb. I was just all wrong, right?
It's so true. Yes.
Yeah, right. And so, nobody teaches you how to overcome abuse, and nobody teaches you how to have awkward conversations, and nobody teaches you how to, like, be okay with it and listening to it and understanding it. Nobody teaches you, how to, be honest with yourself, or, how to love yourself when you look at the mirror, right? Or to, reprogram your subconscious mind. Not everybody does that, right? Only a specific type of people do that, right?
Right.
And it becomes hard, right? When people then go through hard situations, they don't know how to deal with themselves. It's like it becomes it's traumatizing, right? Because we need to open up with people. But for example, in my case, it was like, I didn't want to be a burden to people. All my life I had the same problem. I would always understand people, but people will never understand me. It's like I always knew what to say, but then people are like, oh, I don't know what to do here. And people are like, you know what, I don't know either. I'm sorry. And I'm like, you know what, I don't need your opinion. Like, whatever. And it was one of those things where, like, I ended up just trying to know everything by my own, right? Because that's the thing, right? And so you truly feel lonely because you feel like people will not understand you, right? And some people won't. And like, I feel like every single time you go through problems are good because it forces you to go within yourself to fix it, right? But so yeah, I feel like they're good, but in the beginning they're not, because it really hurts, right? It really sucks. But I feel like with time people just end up really getting used to it and really knowing how to deal with that pain. I still have some PTSD from last time, but you end up learning with it, right? And so that's what it is. So it's beautiful.
Yes. Communication is so important, and people also misinterpret the communication, and they take it internally, and they're in their own head what it could be and what it is, and they just create their own universe from their own thought, and it could be not even true. And a lot of people also, they want to fit in and mold so they can fit in. For example, myself, I didn't fit in. I didn't want to be fit into that Beverly Hills and that school, and that it wasn't for me. And I always felt uncomfortable to be surrounded, because I thought, oh my God, you gotta be this and that. And you gotta really be able to be comfortable in your skin and do what you love to do, and not keep comparing. And another super important thing is, a lot of people are constantly trying to change the outside of their beauty, which is an inside job, and they keep injecting and like, oh my God, it's like there's a limit to that as well too, but they don't realize what they're doing, and they look at themselves and they think, oh, this is beautiful, because they're trying to fix the outside. The whole point is, what I'm trying to say is, there's work to be done on the inside, and obviously, as long as we're in this universe, in these bodies, experiencing this planet. So there's work to do. That's why we're here. We all have a mission and a purpose, and each one of us have a different fingerprint. And there's no reason to compete. And everyone's just competing, scrolling down social media. How come I can't do that? How come this did it? They're no better than me. So it's a lot of stuff going on, and all of that gets trapped in our cells and creates pain and aging quickly, symptoms on old age. And it's a lot of this stuff can be avoided, and it all starts by loving yourself and uh, communicating and expressing. And yes.
Yeah, so important, right? And like Bruno mentioned, nobody taught us, right? And that's exactly how our society is. We all know that we have to pick up on education, because we all know that then we are gonna go to the university and then we are gonna have the profession. But then people come to the point that they do not know how to deal with the life. And that's exactly why we are doing what we are doing, because there is help out there, right? So imagine when you were Haleh by yourself and just, hiding in that closet, and there was no other help for you, there was nobody to run to, right? And you actually had to calm down yourself. But imagine where if you would have somebody by your side who would guide you, who would help you to go through that situation, who would support you, how much better and easier things would be.
Yes, that it would be, my God, I can just feel that comfort. It's like people need that comfort. See, even it's like when people want to support, it's more like not trying to tell them they are wrong, or you need to get out. It's just coming from their place, coming from their place and see and feel what is it, how you can be of service to people that are going through that. Because it does help to have someone that is really understanding and not keep pushing you. You need to get out. Just more shame and more blame, and that's the last thing they want to feel. So it is super important to feel alone at that time. And yes, I did feel alone. But
Hala, can you just give advice to some of the women that are going through that? What would you advise, like looking back where you were? What exactly did you want to hear from somebody that would tell you?
that there's different types of personality, and there's sometimes you only know what the limit is, because a lot of people try to fight back and try to fix the other person and try to think it's going to be fixed, because they do have different side of them too that can uh, cry and be good and say sorry. So you keep going back and forth. And I'm like, for me personally, I would say the best is really sit with yourself and write that emotion. Because the subconscious mind, which is your higher power within you, that source within you, will answer if you allow it. The
Mm-hmm.
answer for each one of us is different, and see what answer you get. It's like when you argue and you fight back to someone that is already like that, it's no use. To save yourself, because this will, in health wise, it'll affect you. It'll affect your cells, and all that stress and emotion. Just let that go and release it on piece of paper and ask what you want. The doorway will open for you instead of going back and forth arguing and saying, why me, and blaming yourself. Not take the blame yourself. Just ask and release. What is it that you want? What do you want to create? and not shame yourself or blame yourself.
I love this. Thank you so much for that for that wisdom, because it's so true, right? We can't fix the other person. All we can do is fix ourselves and get out of there,
Exactly.
right? And
Exactly.
that's exactly the truth, and that's exactly what the inner work is all about. Just grow up and know that you do not have to stay to be the victim. You can be the hero in your journey, and you do not want to rely on other people to make you happy, because happiness is your own choice.
Right. And just they love to get acknowledged, like it's okay, just feel with them. It's okay how you're feeling, but what is how you want what is it that you want to feel? You know, it's just like little steps because they get so overwhelmed in their feelings and the hurts. When I put myself in that position, and it's like there's so much pain and hurt going on, and you're already feeling shame. So, and don't rush yourself. Oh, I need to get out. I need to get out. It'll open up. And that's something that you really have to trust that guidance that's inside. It'll open. If I had done that sooner, I would have probably been out of there sooner than 4 years. But I didn't allow that to express openness to come out. Because in the beginning, I did criticize myself. I said, I should have listened. Why me? Oh, why does it always have to happen to me? Instead of all of that criticizing and all of that, it's just letting that layer go because it's like layers, and we heal as we write. It's a healing process towards that.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. I love that share, and it's great to bring that awareness to a lot of people, because they do not know how to deal in this kind of situation. And like I said, fear plays a big part, right? Because when people are fearful, they don't know what they're gonna be doing. Because we all love that comfort zone, even when it's not something that we like, but
oh,
at least it's, like it's familiar, right?
the
So
comfort.
we know where we are staying, and as opposed to, oh my god, where am I gonna go, what am I gonna do, how my life is gonna be unfolding, right? And that's about just to know that we always want to trust the universe, trust our guidance, right? Knowing that whatever step we are taking forward, it's always for the better, even though in a particular situation we might not see that. But just know that like I always love this example. If we are in the dark, huge building, we know that there is the exit. We know that there is an exit, but we do not see it at this particular moment.
I love
But
that.
if we have the flashlight in our hand, and we can see, just like literally where we could step our foot, and just like one step after another, and eventually we are gonna see that door, which is gonna allow us to exit out. So
Uh,
it's the same, right? The same
wow,
experience in our life.
oh my God, I love that expression. It is so beautiful and perfectly said. Because you just said that you are that light and you guide
Mhm.
that way. Oh, that was so beautifully said. I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's just like realizing that everything what we are experiencing is for our own growth, for our own good, because we are learning through the struggles. We become more resilient, and we trust ourselves more, because once we escape from the situation that we do not like, and we see how better our life is, we understand that this is exactly the path that we want to take, right? And this is the path that we want to follow.
Yes, yes, it's so true. It's um,
Woo!
right, right. It's like it's but when you're in that, and you're going through that. It's just like you want to fight back. It's like automatic reaction, and you feel so comfortable to just you just express it. It's like I was so comfortable, and it's like at the same time you aren't comfortable because you're getting attacked. But I
Exactly.
like okay, how could you be comfortable? So yeah, it does take a lot of I would say a lot of knowing. You really, that's where actually the growth happens. That's like where actually it's sad. It's like through a painful procedure, that you don't get to expand, but that's a lot of the growth for it happens through all the experiences that we go through.
Absolutely. So, Hala, thank you so much for coming today and sharing everything. And tell a couple of words about your masterclass.
Thank you so much. So every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, I go live on Zoom and it's a master class about body, mind, and spirit. And it's only 30 minutes. And it happens every week on Wednesday, which I would love to have anyone that is open to that to come. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, beautiful. Thank you so much for everything what you shared. And I just want to add that I'm also running the event at this moment. It's called Supercharge Your Manifesting Powers. And today we were touching upon saying that everything what we have in our life we manifested, whether consciously or unconsciously. And it's just for people to be aware that there is always a solution, because if you have the problem, there is a solution, because there are like always two ends, right? And that's how the world rotates. So for anybody who wants to live a better life, for anybody who wants to escape from something that they don't like, maybe it's abusive relationship, or maybe it's just attracting the true love, or understanding the relationship, or be better in communication, or anything related to love or finances or any other areas of the life, just to understand everything, right? Just join us on this beautiful event and explore for yourself, because it's easier to say no to something before you even explore it. And I say never reject anything until you try, read, or explore, and then you are going to say confidently, you know what, I explored that topic and it's not something that I want to do, right? But first, keep yourself open for the possibilities. Like you also mentioned, Hala, it's all about just allowing yourself, staying open, and see where it's going to take you. Bruno,
Yeah.
do you have anything to add?
No, not really. I mean, I'm listening. I'm listening, and I'm like, yeah, all makes sense. All makes sense. I mean, I'm liking it. I'm liking it.
Awesome. So, Hala, thank you so much again for coming on our episodes. And we are so happy and grateful that you came out from that abusive relationship and you did attract your true love. And yes, oh, and wish the same for everybody who
Yeah.
is watching, to always discover your best self. Thank you so much.
Thank
And see you
you.
next week.